All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're all about the Nikon Z8.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of questions about this one, so we figured we'd really, break it down.
Yeah, dive deep.
Exactly. We're going right to the source, pulling up the Nikon Z8 Amazon page, all the juicy details, specs, customer reviews, the whole 9 yards.
Nice. And you know what I always say? The Amazon reviews, they can be a gold mine.
Oh, absolutely. Real world feedback, what people are actually experiencing.
Yep, unfiltered and honest, sometimes brutally honest.
Right. But that's what we want, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. No sugarcoating here. We're giving you the info you need to decide if this camera is the right fit for you.
Speaking of which, if you want to follow along and check out the listing yourself, you can find the link to the Nikon Z8 Amazon page in the description below.
Definitely worth a look while we're chatting.
So first impressions, what jumps out at you from the Amazon page?
Well, right off the bat, Nikon is really hammering home this idea of the Z8 being the ultimate hybrid camera.
Yeah, they're not shy about that hybrid powerhouse all over the place.
Right. Like they're saying, hey, whether you're a still shooter who dabbles in video or a videographer who needs pro-level photos, this camera can handle it all.
Ambitious, but can it really live up to the hype?
Well, let's dig into the specs and see what they've packed into this thing.
All right, lay it on me.
Okay, so we've got a 45.7 MP stacked CMOS sensor.
Okay, gotta love those techie terms. Break that down for us non-engineers.
Sure. Basically, stacked means faster data processing. Think like a superhighway for image information. And that translates to better performance, especially for video.
Ah, so less of that jello wobble effect you get when you pan too fast.
Exactly. Rolling shutter, the technical term, but yeah, that's a big plus for video shooters.
Gotcha. And they're boasting 8K video at 60 frames per second, 4K at 120.
It's a beast, no doubt about it. And they've managed to squeeze all that into a body that's 30% smaller than their flagship Z9.
That's pretty wild. So portability without sacrificing power, that's got to appeal to a lot of folks.
Definitely, especially event photographers, wedding photographers, anyone who's on their feet all day.
Okay, so far so good. But what about that hybrid promise? Does it really deliver for both stills and e-video?
Well, one thing that caught my eye is the internal RAW video recording.
Ooh, that's a big deal for serious video folks, right?
Huge. It gives you so much more control in post-production. You're working with the rawest form of the footage, like a digital negative.
So more flexibility for color grading, special effects, all that jazz.
Exactly. It's like the difference between shooting JPEG and RAW for stills.
Yeah.
You've got way more latitude to play with.
More creative freedom, I like it.
Ah,
But let's be real, all that fancy video stuff is useless if the autofocus can't keep up.
truth. Luckily, Nikon is claiming this is their most advanced autofocus system yet.
Oh yeah, they're really talking up the deep learning capabilities.
Which makes sense, right? I mean, AI is everywhere these days, so why not in our cameras?
Right. So what's so special about deep learning autofocus? How does it actually work?
Well, think of it like this. The camera is constantly learning and adapting. The more you use it, the better it gets at recognizing different subjects, people, animals, vehicles, even planes.
Planes. Wow, they're really going for it. But seriously though, that sounds pretty impressive. Especially for capturing those fast-moving subjects, like a cheetah on the run or a bird in flight.
Exactly. Or, your dog chasing squirrels in the park.
True that. And the Amazon listing mentions focusing down to Negus 9 EV, which sounds insane.
Yeah, that's practically shooting in the dark. Definitely aimed at those low-light ninjas.
Low-light ninjas. I like that. Well, if you're a low-light ninja or just curious to check out all those amazing specs and features, remember, the link to the Nikon Z8 Amazon page is in the description below.
Go check it out, folks.
All right, so we've got the marketing hype, we've got the impressive specs. Now let's see what the actual users are saying. Time to dive into the customer reviews.
Let's do it. Always my favorite part.
Mine too.
Yeah.
It's where the rubber meets the road, We see if this camera lives up to the hype in the real world.
Right, because specs on paper are one thing, but how does it actually perform in the hands of everyday photographers?
Exactly. And from what I've seen, the reviews are overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, a lot of happy campers out there.
For sure. People are raving about the image quality, the autofocus performance, and just the overall feel of the camera.
The feel, that's an important one. Sometimes you just got to connect with a camera,
Absolutely. It's like an extension of your creative vision.
Right. And a few reviews I saw mentioned the camera feeling intuitive and easy to use, which is always a good sign.
Yeah, no one wants to spend hours fiddling with menus when they could be out there capturing amazing shots.
Exactly. Time is precious, especially for photographers.
Truth. So any specific reviews that stood out to you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. One said, amazing, lightweight, and powerful.
Short and sweet. I like it.
Right to the point. And another one said, the quality and performance is unbelievable.
Unbelievable, huh? Sounds like they're impressed.
To say the least. And what's interesting is that we're seeing a lot of these really positive reviews from people who upgraded from older Nikon models.
Oh, like they're diehard Nikon fans who are blown away by the Z8.
Exactly. And that says a lot, because those are folks who know Nikon cameras inside and out. And they're clearly impressed by what the Z8 brings to the table.
Makes sense. Brand loyalty is a powerful thing, especially when a company delivers on its promises.
Absolutely. And from what we're seeing, it seems like Nikon is doing just that with the Z8.
All right, so far so good.
Yeah.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to dig a little deeper, see what else these reviews are telling us.
You got it. Let's unpack those reviews and see what nuggets of wisdom we can uncover.
All right, so we've got the hype, we've got the happy users.
Yeah.
But every camera has its quirks, right?
Oh, absolutely. No camera is perfect,
Right.
and the Z8 is no exception. As we go through the reviews, we should also look for any criticisms or areas where the camera might fall short of expectations.
Right, like maybe battery life is a concern or the menu system is tricky to navigate.
Exactly. Those are the kinds of nuggets we need to sift out.
So beyond the marketing speak and the five-star raves, what are the real-world trade-offs or potential drawbacks? That's what we need to find out.
Let's get to it.
All right, let's dive in. And again, for those who want to follow along, the link to the Nikon Z8 Amazon page is in the description below.
Check it out.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about pricing.
All right, the big question, how much is this bad boy going to set us back?
Well, according to the Amazon listing, the Z8 is sitting at $3,496.95.
Oof, that's a chunk of change.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a premium price point, for sure.
So is it worth it? I mean, it's clearly aimed at pros or serious enthusiasts, but are there more affordable options out there with similar capabilities?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And to answer that, we really need to consider who this camera is for. Who's the target audience?
Right, because a camera that's perfect for one photographer might be overkill for another.
Exactly. So let's imagine for a second you're a wedding photographer.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You want to offer both stunning photos and cinematic video. The Z8, with its high resolution, fast burst shooting, and advanced autofocus. It's perfect for those split-second moments, like a tear rolling down the bride's cheek, or the first dance as a married couple.
And on the video side, you've got those 8K and 4K options, plus the internal RAW recording for maximum flexibility in post.
Exactly. So you're essentially getting two cameras in one.
Which for a wedding photographer, time is money, right? So that versatility can be a huge selling point.
Absolutely. They can streamline their gear, capture everything they need with one camera, and potentially even expand their services to include more videography.
Smart move.
Okay.
That makes sense for weddings. But what about other types of photography? Let's say you're a wildlife photographer, braving the elements to capture stunning images of animals in their natural habitat.
Now that's where that rugged build and weather sealing come into play.
You don't want your camera crapping out on you in the middle of the Serengeti.
Exactly. You need a camera that can handle dust, rain, and maybe even the occasional bump or jostle. And of course, that fast autofocus, especially with the deep learning subject detection, is a game changer for capturing those fleeting moments of animal behavior.
Imagine tracking a bird in flight or a cheetah on the run. You need a camera that can keep up. And from the specs we've seen, the Z8 seems like it can handle the challenge.
It does, and let's not forget about landscape photographers. They'll appreciate the high resolution for capturing those sweeping vistas and intricate details. Plus, the low light focusing capability means they can shoot stunning nightscapes with pinpoint stars.
So we've got weddings, wildlife, landscapes. It seems like the Z8 is shaping up to be a pretty versatile tool.
It certainly is, but versatility comes at a cost, both literally and figuratively. While the Z8 offers a lot, it might not be the best fit for every photographer.
Right, it's all about finding the right tool for the job.
Exactly. Like, someone just starting out might find the price prohibitive and the features overkill for their needs.
Right? It's like buying a professional chef's knife, when all you really need is a decent paring knife for everyday use.
Perfect analogy. Now, digging back into the reviews, one recurring theme we're seeing is praise for the image quality. Reviewers are consistently impressed with the level of detail and the dynamic range.
Dynamic range, for those who don't know, that's the camera's ability to capture detail in both highlights and shadows.
Exactly, and that's a big deal for photographers who shoot in challenging lighting conditions, like a backlit portrait or a landscape with bright skies and dark foregrounds.
Right, you don't want those blown-out highlights or those murky shadows.
Nope, you want detail everywhere, and the Z8 seems to deliver on that front.
Okay, so image quality gets a thumbs up. What about autofocus performance? We know Nikon is touting its deep learning capabilities, but does it live up to the hype?
Well, based on the reviews, it seems so. Users are reporting fast, accurate autofocus, even in challenging situations like low light or with fast-moving subjects.
So no more missed shots, because the camera couldn't lock focus.
That's the idea. And they particularly appreciate the ability to customize the autofocus settings to suit their specific needs and shooting styles.
So photographers can fine-tune the autofocus to prioritize certain subjects, like people's eyes or a specific point in the scene.
Precisely. That level of control is essential for professionals who need to ensure critical sharpness on the most important elements of their images.
Now, not everything is rosy, right?
Right.
What are some of the downsides or criticisms that reviewers are mentioning?
Well, a few points come up repeatedly. Some users find the menu system a bit complex, especially if they're coming from older Nikon models.
Yeah, a steep learning curve can be frustrating, especially when you just want to grab the camera and start shooting.
Right. But it's not necessarily a deal breaker, just something to be aware of.
All right, fair enough.
What else? Another common gripe is battery life. While it's generally decent for stills, reviewers are finding that it drains much faster when shooting video, especially at higher resolutions and frame rates.
That's not surprising, considering the processing power needed to handle 8K video. But it's something to keep in mind if you plan on doing a lot of video work, especially in the field.
Right. You might want to invest in some spare batteries or an external power solution.
Speaking of investments, we can't forget about the lens ecosystem. We know the Z8 uses Nikon's Z-mount lenses, which are relatively new compared to their F-mount lenses.
That's an important consideration, especially for photographers who have already invested heavily in f-mount lenses.
Yeah, you don't want all that glass just sitting on a shelf.
Exactly. While Nikon does offer an adapter for using f-mount lenses on Z-mount cameras, there can be some limitations in terms of autofocus performance and compatibility.
So if you're heavily invested in F-mount lenses, switching to the Z system might require some additional expenses for new lenses or adapters. However, on the plus side, the Z-mount lenses are designed specifically for mirrorless cameras, and they tend to be smaller, lighter, and optically superior to their F-mount counterparts.
That's a good point. And Nikon's Z-mount lens lineup is steadily growing, so there's a good chance you'll find the lenses you need, whether you're shooting portraits, landscapes, wildlife, or anything in between.
It sounds like Nikon is committed to building out the Z system for the long haul.
That seems to be the case. And for photographers looking for a cutting-edge system with room to grow, the Z8 and the Z-mount lenses are definitely worth considering. And if you're curious to explore the range of available lenses and accessories, the link to the Nikon Z8 Amazon page is in the description below.
Nice.